RaceSpot Race Day is back on the air. Only 3 rounds remaining in the 2017 championship for both the Formula Renault SimCup as well as the RaceSpot Supercup. We kick up our coverage in just a couple of moments' time here on RaceSpot TV and on iRacing Live.
iRacing, you wanted the best, you got them for abreast. Often imitated, never duplicated. The greatest show on dirt, the World of Outlaws.
Welcome to Suzuka and welcome to round number 10 of RaceSpot Race Day here on RaceSpot TV, streaming live on iRacing Live. This is the 10th round of the championship. Qualifying is underway then for the SimCup as we speak. Will Vincent, Paul Smith, Jonathan Simone will take over commentary duties in just one moment's time. Here's a look at the weather today. It's a little bit cool, 65 degrees Fahrenheit, 44% relative humidity. It is clear out there in terms of the skies, but there's a bit of wind, 14 kilometers an hour at this famous figure of 8 racetrack. And we have a look at the championship heading into this round. It is very close right now to Eunice Savasti and Simone Maria Marceno in terms of the battle for the championship. Alex Sadler, Ollie Quoker and Scott Newton, they are in a battle for 3rd place right now as Paul. Now you've got to make sure you don't make a single mistake as we head towards the end of this year's championship.
Absolutely, we've got 3 rounds left in this championship and, well, it's going to come down to the wire. As you're saying, just 2 points separating Eunice Savasti and Simone Maria Marceno. And then that battle for 3rd place as well is intriguing with Alex Sadler, Ollie Quoker and Scott Newton all together there as well. So it's going to be interesting. And, well, Jonathan Simon joining me on commentary. We're looking at qualifying at the moment. Martin van Loosnoord is provisionally on pole position by 0.2 of a second. Gianni Silvasti, championship leader in 2nd with Simone Maria Marceno right there in 3rd place. This is going to be an epic battle on what is an absolutely fantastic circuit.
Definitely is Suzuka, and Martin van Loosnoord, who took the win last time out at what was one of my favorite circuits in Spa. We moved to another one which is very fun for me to drive around, but I was never able to figure it out. This circuit is very technical, lots of aerodynamic grip involved, especially in that first sector. And there's no margin for error here either. You look at the close proximity of being off the racetrack. It's so narrow from left-hand side to the right-hand side, and it's just one of those circuits where the driver really makes a difference. You know, there are some circuits where you give the same setup to 5 drivers and they'll be within a tenth of each other. But at Suzuka, those 3, 4, even half a second, 3, 4 tenths to even half a second are made really through the driver's skill itself.
Jonas Silvestri coming out the final corner then, looking to set another lap time of 1:53.3. That puts him provisionally on pole position, 1:53.0 I should say, provisionally on pole position. Simon Maria Marceno can improve it. Martin van Loosenhout coming out the Casio triangle. He is currently on a lap, going to come across the line. What time will he do? He goes across that line, and it is not quicker, so he does not improve. Josh Thompson, by the way, doing well, up in 4th place. A bit of a surprise figure. He's been new to the championship, and currently on pace, at least, only 0.4 of a second off of our current pole position here, Johnny.
Yep, it was Van Loosenhout who made the mistake at the Casio triangle, and that's what really compromised his lap. I think he lost at least a 10th there in that final corner. So talking about Josh Thompson, though, a new name to RaceSpot RaceDay. We saw him last time out at Spa. Here he is again at Suzuka, coming through the Degner curves, one of the best corners in the motorsport universe. And now he heads up towards Kobayashi corner, is it, Paul? Over here, the hairpin.
Hey, so
it locks up though.
I'm going to say, you're saying that the Degners is one of the best corners in the world, bearing in mind that what's just over the top of that, it's in the shadow of 130R, which I would actually say is the best corner on the circuit at least. Maybe not in the world. That's a debate to have sometime else, but certainly as he's going through Spoon right now and he's now going to head on that back straight.
I'll tell you what though, 130R and an open wheel car with downforce is nothing. I'll tell you that right now in the modern day. It's full throttle, left-handed, very easy. I'll take it with one hand any day. I think when you're in a sports car or a GT car, much more exhilarating. But if you're going alongside someone, and we could see that later on in the race, if you're going alongside someone through 130R, boy, is that scary, as Thompson now heads towards the Casio triangle. And you get that corner more wrong than you do right. Here he is to close the lap out. Paul, will he improve on 4th position?
No, he does not. He was 2/10 slower on that lap time. Simon Maria Marceno has completed his laps now. He did not improve. So I'm just looking down. We're running out of time here. In fact, the time is over. So what we will do then is we'll be able to get a check on those qualifying standings. And it is Jonas Silvestri on pole position, our championship leader on pole, with Martin van Loosenhout in 2nd, less than 1/10 behind there. Simon Maria Marceno 3rd place with Josh Thompson in 4th. Alex Sadler not that far behind in 5th with Dimitri Yanis. He was only 1/100th of a second behind Sadler in 6th place. Chris Lazarik in 7th with Scott Newton 8th. Kirilis Javeza in 9th with Ian De Vriend in 10th place. We've got a good sized field here. 21 cars will be competing here today, and well, it's all set now for this one. And what's the challenges is going into that first corner then, Jonathan?
It's very narrow, so you don't want to be going full wide into turn 1. We've seen that happen throughout in Formula 1 and many other series as well. And the real difficulty is that you're not really braking too much going into that first corner at the start, because you're still building up the speed. So you just have to make sure that you watch your brake markers and really adapt your braking point to what it usually is, because you don't want to be collecting the drivers in front. So it really is awareness is the key word for this start. Driver awareness.
Yeah, just waiting for the last few of the drivers to head on to the grid here. Downhill grid here, so you're going to pick up speed rather quickly as you're heading down in towards that turn 1, and you let the downforce do a lot of the work into turn 1. Of course, scene of that famous incident between Ayrton Senna and Alain Prost at the start of the 1990 Japanese Grand Prix. So definitely an iconic venue, this circuit. So many championships have been sealed here in Formula 1. Well, we are seeing this just be the next episode of this championship, the RaceSpot Supercup. Yeah, no, that's later on. Oh my goodness, you can tell I'm so excited for the start of this race. I'm getting my words wrong, yes. And Will is laughing at me in my ears. But anyway, here we go then. All set for the start of this race. The drivers looking towards those lights now, waiting for the green light. All set for 25 minutes. Away we go then from the start, and it is a good start from Joni Silvestri. He's going to pull away. Matt van Loosenhout pulling in behind him. Everyone just sort of taking it easy in towards that turn one. No real drama at the moment. Alex Sadler has gone side by side with Yanis, and everybody so far managing to make it through. There was a little bit of sideways action for Vice Canunas, but so far so good as they go into the S's now, the centre S's, and this is a tricky part of the circuit. This is when you're going to see everyone just sort of get down into single file. We've still got double file action going on. There's a little bit of bumping and barging further back in your field, but everyone so far behaving, doing well. 21 cars in this grid, and we've got two wide action near the front. Simon Maria Marceno, Josh Thompson, Dimitri Yanis, and it's Yanis who's pushed out wide there, Jonathan.
Yeah, those three were getting very, very feisty. Alex Sadler behind has been defensive from the get-go, and Chris Lazarevic now and Scott Newton alongside each other, heading into the hairpin as they break for the first time here this race.
Ian de Vried is round, as we've also had a change for the lead. Martin van Loosenhout has taken the lead. Ian de Vried, though, went off going into the hairpin there. He got just a little tap from behind, I believe, and that sent him off into the barriers. That's going to be his race run.
Yep, so that was a bit clumsy from the drivers behind, but we know who is a driver off at Spoon as well there ahead of Ali Cuoco. That's Chris Lazarevic, and we have cars off into the background too.
And Eric Andre, Scott Newton is involved in that one as well. So they're off. It's all drama happening.
Oh, and side by side into 130R. Sorry, Paul. Thompson and Maria Marceno. Wow.
And that's our championship contender, Simone Maria Marceno, who's lost that position then. He's losing points to his championship rival, Joni Silvestri. There is plenty of time still left in this race. We've only had 2 minutes of this race run so far. Across the line, end of the first lap, it is Martin van Loosenhout in the lead in this one, ahead of Joni Silvestri. Josh Thompson, but look at this Marceno. Dimitri Yanis! Oh, get into the back of Marceno! Around goes Marceno! That could possibly be a huge dent to this championship contention here. In towards turn number one. He's got damage to the rear wing. He's able to carry on, but just how much damage is on that car, and will he have to park it at the end of this lap?
Oh, goodness me. There is a lot of rear wing damage, and a car is never pleasant to drive. He's struggling, Maria Marceno. I don't think he's going to get that car to the end of the race. It's just an absolute handful to drive there. He's almost lost it about 4 or 5 times in the past few corners. And this is going to be nervous. Let's have a look through Degner here. Oh, that's not going to end well. What a save, by the way. So right now, if he can keep that car on the racetrack for the rest of the event, he will not have... Oh,
but van Loosenhout's round! The race leader is round at the hairpin! What on earth has happened? He's done that on himself! He's just carried too much speed through the apex, that corner, and around he goes.
Well, should we call it some attrition? 82 Monaco Grand Prix, perhaps? It's not going to end this well at the moment if the drivers keep tripping over each other and making their own mistakes.
Oh, Marceno's got into the back of Lazarevic there, and Lazarevic gets punted. He was just rolling across the track, and I don't think there was anything that the driver could do that collected him. And I believe that was someone like Scott McIntyre possibly who got collected there. So drama happening on this first lap. But we saw this for opening 2 laps, I should say. We saw this happen in the iRacing Grand Prix series, which was shown on Sunday afternoons on iRacing Live. And we saw how that was a race of attrition, and how it was basically a case of those that can finish will score good. And while so far, Joni Silvestri is in the lead ahead of Josh Thompson, and Dimitri Yanis now third.
Yeah, we need a bit of a rehash about where everybody is placed, but there's no excuse for that showing from a lot of these drivers, and it's just a clumsy start to the race. By lap 2, lap 3, your tires are fine, so it's just some silly mistakes that we all make from time to time, but it really shouldn't have been that way. And I'm just waiting to see the total of cars out of this event. We're up to 5 so far. It feels like way more than that, though, Paul.
It certainly does. There's been plenty of incidents going on. Simone Maria Marceno is really struggling with that car, though. He's staying out there. He knows how important it is to finish this race, and he's going to have Vice Canunas go past now to take that place. As Marceno down to 13th. This is just a disaster for him. And The thing is, if that car has got too much damage there, Jonathan, he wouldn't be able to get back out there onto the track. By him staying out, he's just determined to just try and get some form of points, isn't he?
Yeah, definitely. He needs it. Only 2 points behind coming into this round in the championship. But the worst thing is that his championship challenger is now in first because of Martin van Loozenhoorn's spin. So there's a lot of entertaining stories starting to happen here. Will van Loozenhoorn make his way back up the order? Will he have the same pace he had at Spa? Has he potentially killed his chances with that spin as well? Can Silvasti maintain the lead? Could Josh Thompson take his first victory of the season? So there's a lot to say at the moment, and yeah, no opportunity for Maria Marceno to fast repair that car. So he's just going to have to take the full hit. Is it worth it though, Paul? You know, if he can. Over the next 19 minutes, will he lose more time coming into the pits to repair that car than just staying out there?
It depends how long the repairs are for as well. Because if you've got to repair your car for, say, 8.5 minutes, that's a big chunk of time.
Yeah,
you're using laps. You know, people are going around this track at about 1 minute 53, 1 minute 54 every lap. So you're going to be losing that time. And will you gain that many places then?
And it's not, that's one thing, but it's also the fact that can he keep that car on the racetrack? Do you remember how he struggled through the Degner curves? Yeah. And even you were clutching at whatever you were clutching at, and we were getting excited over that.
I was clutching at straws. The story of my life is that I've got a slow car on track, by the way, that Yanis has gone past. And it's a lesser spotted Brenton O'Brien who's getting out the way of the competitors there.
Oh, is he on the racetrack?
We did end up with a 22 car field, but he's keeping out of everyone's way. So anyway, I'm looking at the battle for second place because we've got Josh Thompson in second. Dimitri Yanis is 0.8 of a second behind, with Alex Sadler further 0.9 of a second behind him. So that's a good little three-car battle. You got Martin van Loozenhoorn has actually closed up to Richard Arnault, headed in towards Spoon now. And this is going to be interesting to see, because if he can get the run through here, Arnault running wide over the curbs there, and that's going to allow him, Van Loozenhoorn, to get the run through the exit of that down the hill, using the slipstream here, heading towards 130R. And I don't think we're going to get the side-by-side through 130R that we were hoping to get, although Arnault has tried to stay there, but Van Loozenhoorn is through there.
Yep, now he's going to just maybe have a look going into the Casio triangle, but Arnault is a bit too far behind, and I think he knows that Van Loozenhoorn probably has the long-term pace. It's not too easy to overtake at Suzuka anyway, especially you'll see in the World Championship Grand Prix Series. Even with DRS, it is very, very difficult. And so here's Arnault again. Doesn't have the straight line speed though going into turn one. And runs a little bit wide. Van Loozenhoorn should be able to take a late apex there, and he does. Brilliant driving from Van Loozenhoorn. Very aggressive. And so they continue through this very tricky first sector. Very technical. It's just every yes gets faster and faster as you go. Slower and slower, excuse me, as you go on. And then you hit Dunlop curve, and this is the real killer pull on the rear end. If you don't have that car set up right and you're not confident on that right foot, you'll end up spinning away into the wall to the right-hand side.
Yeah, you certainly do. Dunlop is one of those tricky corners on this track. It is an old-school track built in the 1960s, and it's the only figure-of-8 circuit that we visit in this series as well. It's one of the few figure-of-8 circuits in the world, actually. It's certainly unique as Suzuka. It's a narrow track as well. You can tell it's an old-school track because it's quite narrow. That battle for second place now, Yanis is getting up to the back of Josh Thompson here, and maybe we'll see a little bit of the same as what we just saw with Matt Van Loozenhoorn now as they're heading towards 130R, although John Thompson did a little bit of better job through Spoon than Richard Arnault did a lap ago.
Yeah, but here's Yanis creeping in. Where's he going to go? You can only go left here, and it's going to be very, very hair-raising. Here they go alongside each other. Wow! And they keep it together through 130R. Maybe a look up the inside for Yanis. All that World Championship Grand Prix Series experience. Trying to intimidate Josh Thompson in front. And I told you before, Paul, 130R on your own in an open wheeler is one of the easiest things in the world. But when you're alongside each other, that's where it becomes exhilarating. Here's Yanis again.
Yeah, down towards turn one then. Can he do it? And now he goes down the inside. He's done it. and so that is another position. Up to second place then in this race is Dimitri Yanis ahead of Josh Thompson. Thompson, though, is a tough competitor, and he will carry on fighting here. And, well, look at this. He's 2 seconds behind now, is Yanis, behind your race leader. So Silvasti has made the most of that opportunity of the drivers battling it out to able to get ahead. And at the moment, he is away. And we've seen in the series time and again, when you get that gap at the front, you can just then dictate the pace and just pull away from the rest of the field, Jonathan.
Yep, definitely. And I think you mentioned the battle was a gift. Also the fact that Thompson was just slightly slower. And oh, is that Yanis running very wide? It is.
It is.
And here they are alongside each other once again. And this is across the back straight here. Thompson and Yanis going to spoon. This isn't a corner where you can go too wide. Will Thompson be brave enough? He is. Yanis gives him all the space in the world, and you'll run off the racetrack. And Josh Thompson there capitalizing on Dimitri Yanis's mistake. But here's Yanis going for the cutback.
Yeah, he worked that cutback well, and it's worked well. He's got the speed advantage going up the hill, heading towards 130R. He's on the inside line, Thompson on the outside, and you've also got Sadler there as well. Sadler, of course, battling for third place in this championship. He's needing the points as well. Thompson's not giving this one up. Looking to the outside of the Casio Triangle. That's an awful line through there. He could have maybe just done with bleeding off the throttle a little bit and sneaking in, try and get the better run out of it. But now here comes Sadler on Josh Thompson. By the way, Matt van Loosnord has moved up position behind them. He's regaining it, and here comes Sadler side by side with Thompson, heading in towards turn number 1. Thompson's holding it around the outside. You can do it, but that's going to disadvantage you through the second part, and that's Sadler through up into third place now onto a podium.
Yeah, brilliant stuff from Alex Sadler. He had an abysmal performance at Spa. Even he was disappointed in his driving standards, and he's made up for it there with that move. Brilliant stuff there. You always have to lead by example. Everybody says sorry and all the time, and then thank you and this. Just lead by example. Just drive there, do the correct thing on the racetrack, and that's exactly what Alex Sadler's done. And they go through Degner once again. So Thompson lost out the most in this, and I thought he'd have better pace, but at the same time, Paul, look who this has gifted the most. It's Joni Silvasti, 3.5 second lead.
Yeah, and this is what I was saying, with these guys battling away, he's able to pull away. And Christian Bug is in the gravel trap, and that's at the Degners. Oh. What has happened to him? I will find out. He's lost it. He's clipped the curb on the first part of the Degners, and that's just spat him out into that gravel trap. They should be thankful, actually. The gravel trap is so wide there at that point. He's able to carry on now, but he's dropped down a couple of positions, down to 13th now.
Yeah, do you remember when Formula One came back here in 2009 and everybody went off in qualifying, and it was just that first Degner curve when you get it wrong, and it's a common occurrence between even your world's best that we'll see later on in the World Championship. And here's Thompson.
He's looking menacing, but he's keeping behind, and he's wanted to get the run out the chicane, I think, and Sadler holding on to that position in front at the moment. Thompson trying to use the slipstream now of that car in front, and Sadler's going to have to go defensive here because Thompson does have the speed advantage going down the straight in towards turn number 1. Is he going to pull out here? No, he isn't. He's going to sit behind for the time being. Is that smart? Is that good patience that he's showing here from because he's only a young driver as well as Josh?
Well, I'm not sure if he backed out there or just held the right foot off full throttle, or whether he just maxed out in top speed. I'm not sure what happened there, but it was good patience nevertheless. Here they go through the S's, and
McIntyre's gone around, by the way, at the Casio Triangle, just for information. But yeah, Van Loosnord's gaining on these because they're battling away. His last lap was pretty much a second faster than Thompson in front. So he's only 1.4 behind this battle for the podium. And if these keep on battling the way they do, Jonathan, they're just going to bring Martin in here, and we know that he's got the pace.
Yeah, and so he'll definitely have the pace for P2. Whether or not he can catch Silvasti for the lead while he's passing all these cars is another question. Here's Thompson into Spoon. This is replicable of what the battle was with Yanis up the inside. Thompson's brave, and he forces Alex Sadler wide. Here they are alongside each other through the exit of Spoon again. Thompson on the throttle. He's got a nose in front here of Alex Sadler. And Martin van Loozenhout is close behind, but look at Alex Sadler pinching Thompson close to the wall.
He certainly is, and they're going to go side by side into 130R. This is what we were talking about. Look at them. Oh, Thompson all over the curb on the inside there, almost collected Sadler. Ends up holding onto the position is Sadler, but that run through Spoon all the way up there compromised each other. And look who's sat right on the gearbox now. It's Martin van Loozenhout. He's caught up to this battle. He's in that slipstream, and he's going to get a double slipstream from the cars in front. Jamie Wilson, by the way, has made it past Ollie Kfoka now on this lap, but here's Thompson looking to the left, looking to the right. Can't make the move on Sadler, and I think Thompson realises now he's got a car bearing down in his mirrors.
Yeah, he does. The mad, scrambling Martin van Loozenhout, who will always take the first opportunity for an overtake where he can. Here they come now through the final S curves, through Dunlop curve now, hugging that inside curb, and then the Degner 1 section where you don't want to touch that inside curb of Degner 1. We saw that earlier with one driver spinning off. Brilliant with all three of them. And then the second Degner. Apply the throttle. Don't lose the rear end on the exit. And look at Thompson. He got beached on the curb there, Paul. And that's something that'll happen to you at Suzuka quite a lot.
Yeah, certainly. Formula car, it sits so low. And if you just go over the curb at the wrong position, it'll beat you. You don't have any control of the car. It's just running on the bottom of the tub. And here comes van Loozenhout now. Is he going to do a Thompson and look down the inside into Spoon? Yes, he is. And, well, he made that look rather easy there.
Yeah, Thompson just backed off, bit of a taste for his own of his own medicine, and then go through the exit, and that's 1, 2, 3, quite stagnant for them. So good stuff from all three. And Sadler's got some. Yeah, okay. So we're going to continue on here. We thought Sadler had some technical issues, but regardless, Paul, here they go into the Casio triangle.
Yeah, certainly it is van Loozenhout and it is Thompson. They're battling away, and well, there they go. They're still through in third and fourth place. By the way, Kfoka and Wilson did have an incident at the start of the last lap in towards turn number 1. And, well, they ended up getting together, so they've dropped down the order a little bit. So your top 8 then, as it is, Joni Silvasti is in the lead by 3.2 seconds ahead of Dimitri Yanis in second place. Martin van Loozenhout in third ahead of Josh Thompson. The news is Alex Sadler, he's out. He's had a technical problem. He is out of this race. So it's Martin van Loozenhout up to third with Josh Thompson fourth. Chris Vallioveza is in fifth with Richard Arnault in sixth place. Carl Janssen, we've not really talked about him. He's just been quietly plugging away up into seventh place with Fabrizio Donoso in eighth. Christian Bug is in ninth with Lorenas Vaisakununis in 10th place. And, well, we have so far, well, look at this, we've got Steve Elliott, Eric Andre, Ian De Vries, Scott Newton, Chris Lazarevic, and we've also got Alex Sadler all out of this race.
It's not a good race for the Australians, I'll tell you that much. But Brenton O'Brien's still lapping out there with Alex Sadler's retirement. He'll pick up another point. He was our lawnmower earlier, letting through all the cars. But he's rejoined this race cleanly. He's just trying to collect some points for the Evolution Racing team. The other Evolution Racing car, Scott McIntyre, out there in 14. I don't think Scott practices much for these races. He's admitted that to me privately, excuse me. But nevertheless, Alex Sadler, who you have these technical issues from time to time, Paul. It's part of sim racing and motorsport, I guess. And you can limit them to a point, but they're not human errors.
But this is it. You look at this. It's simulation. Well, in racing, you can have an engine blow up. You can have things fail on the car. So why can't you have technical problems as well? Okay, you don't want them to happen, but it's just the nature of racing. These things can happen. Unfortunately, it's what's happened to Alex Sadler. Everybody's spread out a little bit now, and that's the nature of this track, isn't it, Jonathan? We've got only 5 minutes remaining in this race. It's just flown by as this one. But everyone's sort of spread out now, and that's the nature of this course. Just with the technical nature, you can't really follow too close to the cars in front, really, after so long.
No, you can't. That's due to dirty air, but it's also due to visibility, because you really have to understand and know your turn-in points here. And when you've got a face full of gearbox in front, it's very hard to even see the racetrack. So it's sometimes you might just go by the driver in front. You might go by his turn-in points. But what if he stuffs up a corner and then you stuff it up too? So there are visual aids to the side of the racetrack that you have to use from time to time. And sometimes just when you're behind someone, having that awareness to just steer into a corner and at a racetrack that's so narrow, it's a difficult skill to master. But somebody who's mastered that anyway, to segue, is Uni Silvasti.
Well, yeah, I was just about to mention Uni Silvasti. So he is in the lead of this race, 3.3 seconds. I think he's just he's not taking it easy, but he's not going to be pushing the envelope now. He's not going to be pushing the limits of adhesion as he comes into that Casio triangle once again. But I tell you, someone who I'm amazed they're still running at this point, Simon Maria Marceno. The damage that he's got on that car, he's got front wing damage, he's got rear wing damage. I think he might even have a little bit of steering damage as well, a little bit of suspension damage. He's in 13th place, which, to be honest, any points is good points here as he goes drifting out of the spoon curve.
Yep, it is. So smart man to keep that car out on the racetrack. He's got 27 seconds behind the Scott McIntyre, who's also struggling. So he definitely finished 13th or higher if he keeps that car on the racetrack anyway. But an interesting scrap here is Martin van Loosenord, half a second quicker than Dimitri Yanis in front. We know van Loosenord spun out of the lead and he's really ruined his own chances. I'd say he's a good bet to make here on P2, but it's going to be very tight, very down to the wire, I'd say.
It's 1.9 seconds he's got behind at the moment as the clock ticks down to 3 minutes and 5 seconds remaining. We're only going to have maybe a couple laps possibly. Yeah, we're going to have 2 more laps of this race. So half a second, you're 1.9, 1.6 behind now. Half a second a lap, that's just not enough at the moment. He needs more of that car.
Definitely does. So, yeah, it definitely does. I have nothing else to say on that. I agree.
Wow, it's not off. Ladies and gentlemen, Jonathan Simon is completely speechless. I've done it. I can retire. That's it. But it's a good point, though. He's pushing. I mean, you look at it. He scored his fastest lap. I believe it's the fastest lap of the race as well on that last lap of 53.2 from Van Loosenord. So he is absolutely giving it everything. He's on the limit. He's not cutting. He's not hitting the curbs on that final chicane. That's interesting to see. Some drivers you'll see ride that chicane, whereas he's keeping it off those curbs. We'll come across the line here, compare the time. So 1:53.5 for Dimitri Yanis, 1:53.0, a new fastest lap there for Martin van Loosenord. He is pushing it. He's giving absolutely everything. 2 laps remaining in this race, Jonathan, and that was half a second again. It's just not quite enough.
Yes. No, I'm kidding. That's my Hakkinen impression. Here we go now. Martin van Loosenord. I told you he's quick. He's still got 1.4 seconds to make up. Now, I'm not trying to sound like Murray Walker, but he does also have to get past Dimitri Yanis, which is going to be tough. And I think with the momentum he's got now, Yanis will definitely be looking at his relative time gaps, no question. And for van Loosenord, this momentum as a driver and this confidence you have when you see yourself in the relative time gaps creep up to the driver in front, 10th by 10th, that confidence you have when you see that, it's really hard to explain and put on a piece of paper. It is something where you're in your own world, everything's going your way, but it's a race against time too. He's racing 2 things here at the moment.
It certainly is, and I tell you what, he absolutely nailed the exit of the hairpin there, did van Loosenord. He caught up about 0.2 of a second just in that part of the track alone, so he's going for it, but I don't think I don't think that he's going to make it. He's 1.1 seconds behind. He might just be getting a sniff of a slipstream right now, and that's going to be crucial if he can get within that slipstream. That can really bring him in towards that second place. But Yannis Silvastre is going through the Casio Triangle right now. It's going to start the final lap with 20 seconds remaining here in this race. And that top 8, it is still Silvastre, Yannis, Van Loosenhood. Van Loosenhood's now down to 0.8 of a second behind. He's definitely got the slipstream here, and he's going to make the most of that now as they're heading down towards turn 1 just to close him in. We could see that battle intensify by the end of this lap. Josh Thompson in 4th with Javeza in 5th, Arnaud in 6th, Janssen in 7th, and Donoso up to 8th place in this race. So we've seen some good movers in this race, and well, there's been a lot of cars out this one. 6 retirees out of this race so far, and well, Van Loosenhood is going through this technical section. He seems to be catching up even more now as they head into Dunlop.
Yeah, so just quickly, the closer he gets to Yannis, he will creep up even quicker than he has been before with that half a second a lap advantage. At the moment, he was 7/10 quicker than Yannis last lap. Now he's got the toe. He's within half a second of Dimitri. So he is within a great shot here of P2. He's got all the momentum. Here they go through the hairpin. Brilliant exit, even better exit than Dimitri Yannis. So it's creeping down to half a second, maybe even 4/10 soon. Let's have a look at this towards the end of the race.
Certainly heading in towards Spoon. We'll be drawing our attention to the leader very shortly, but this battle is going on and it is closing. Oh, Van Loosenhood using every inch of the road there, using all of the curb and the AstroTurf there, getting a little bit loose on the exit, but he's got the run here, heading up towards 130R. Yannis is going very defensive very early. He realises what can happen here. Donoso's been off, by the way, but Van Loosenhood around the outside of 130R. Will he hold on to that position? He's got the inside line for the chicane, and he's gonna take that position there. Fantastic driving from Van Loosenhood, but look ahead, it is Yannis Silvastre who will win this race here today. Fantastic drive from the front for him, and it's Van Loosenhood and Yannis second and third across the line, less than 1/10 of a second between them. Josh Thompson's gonna come out in 4th place. Donoso, he's battling away with Vaitkanunis, heading in towards 130R themselves, and this one is going to go to the end here. Through 130R they go, and now Donoso looking to the outside of the Casio Triangle, possibly looking for the dive on the inside, has to lock up. Oh, and Vaitkanunis is off. He's gone off there, and that is Donoso up a position then, up into 9th place, battling all the way to the end of this race. Cameron Dance, by the way, and Scott McIntyre, we've forgotten about those two. They're battling away, heading in towards Spoon Corner, so a battle's going on right through the field into Spoon, and Dance is going to make it through. And McIntyre, well, he's just having to try and hang on here, try and use the slipstream, but he's just falling back all the time. But what a finish there, Jonathan, and what a move from Van Loosenhood.
Yeah, Yannis was a sitting duck. As soon as Van Loosenhood had the slipstream, his goose was basically cooked. He had no chance, and Yannis had to only... Well, he's still on the podium at least. He gets some form of champagne, because we are in Japan and we do have champagne on the podium. And so I think for Yannis, you know, drove cleanly. You can't really be annoyed with that. He's going to be disappointed he lost out on P2, but I think look at the fun side of that. You know, good exhilarating battle to end the race. Really happy with Josh Thompson's performance, although he did drop off the pace towards the end of the event, but 4th place is good nevertheless. But let's not forget Paul Yannis Silvastre, who I mean, there's a reason why he's championship leader, right? And there's a reason why this is his 5th race win of the season, and incredible stuff.
Yep, so let's run through those results then for round 10 of the RaceSpot SimCup here. And, well, it is Yannis Silvastre who wins that one by 4 seconds ahead of Martin Van Loosenhood in 2nd place. Dimitri Yannis in 3rd, less than 1/10 of a second behind, as I said earlier on. Josh Thompson 4th with Carlos Alveza in 5th place. Richard Arnaud rounds out the top 6. Then it's Carl Janssen 7th with Christian Buck 8th. Fabrizio Donoso 9th, and Laurenus Vaitkanunis in 10th place. We saw just swapping positions on that last lap. Rest of your field on screen. It's important to show Oli Kvoka finishing there in 12th. Simona Maria Marceno able to finish this race in 13th with a heavily damaged car. And in the end, Brendan O'Brien was 3 laps down. 16 finishers from a 22-car grid. Fantastic racing there, Will.
Comeback of the season there for Martin van Loozenhoorn. A number of things to talk about after this race. We will step aside though for 1 minute, and when we come back we'll break down what just happened here from Suzuka. You're watching RaceSpot TV on iRacing Live, and that was round number 10 of the Formula Renault SimCup. Don't go anywhere. There's no qualifying in Monza yet. It's fine. Stick with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Suzuka, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back then to that bit in the middle of this broadcast where we break down everything that happened in that round of the Formula Renault SimCup. Let's get a replay then of the start as drivers heading themselves down into turn number 1 for the first time. Now, turn number 1 and sector number 1, actually, Paul, they were very clean. It was when the drivers hit the dingers and the hairpin that things got crazy.
Yeah, all chaos kicked off there through the Degners and the hairpin and then spoon curve and 130R, and it just all happened. And then, of course, start of lap 2, we had that huge incident there with Simona Maria Marceno, the championship contender. His heart must have been in his mouth when that happened, heading in towards that turn, because he just got a little clip. It was just a little clip. He seemed to come across trying to block off Dimitri Yanis, and he just timed it wrong, caught the front end of Yanis, and that was him around.
Yeah, the first thing I noticed that was a big, oh my, things are about to go down. Where's the driver of Lazarevic there? And he did a Ryan Hunter Ray. In fact, I just want to play this tape back again. This is on the exit of Denger number 2. 1, 2, 3, 4 wheels off the track at one point, 2 wheels on the grass heading towards the hairpin, going 3 wide with that number 21 machine of Alex Sadler. I mean, stuff was down crazy in your midfield as they worked themselves through that hairpin towards Spoon Curve for the first time, Johnny. And, you know, yeah, I would argue the drivers were probably a little bit too aggressive at the start of this event. But when things settled down, we got some fantastic racing.
We did. Good racing, but that was you hit the nail on the head there, where from the get-go, as soon as the lights illuminated and disappeared, every driver almost went defensive on the grid, and it was just a lot of over-aggression and unnecessary aggression at some points. And so on a narrow racetrack, you really have no margin for error. So, these things happen. It's nothing to dwell over, but it's not something that we want to be seeing race after race.
No, and then, of course, you've got the situation over Simona Maria Marceno. I'll get that one out correctly, shall I? Just trying to see whether we can. We will be able to in a moment, ladies and gentlemen. Just had a bit of an issue with our overlay package, which means that you have to look at a freeze frame for a moment. But this, then, is the moment for Simona Maria Marceno. We're on board of him here. And what happens is he moves to the right-hand side, then gets hit, then gets turned and slammed into the Armco barrier. And, well, it was I'm not going to fully take the blame off Maria Marceno for that one. And we're going to see if we can get ourselves another replay of that one for you. And this is on the exit then of the triangle, heading down towards turn number 1. And here we can see, we just kind of stopped the action here. And what it was, actually, Maria Marceno actually did what he shouldn't have done. It was a defensive move to the right there. And that's the important thing here, Paul. And I'm going to be the controversial person here and say, actually, Maria Marceno cost himself a chance at the championship himself. Because there is a clear line between the two cars are. But you'll notice in a moment, Maria Marceno is going to move to that part of the racetrack. That's very clearly a defensive move. And once you do that, I'm sorry, you know, situation's your own.
Yeah, and this is it. You know, when you're fighting for a championship, you've got to learn when when to do the fights and when to sort of just back off. Let the other driver have the position at the time. You know, you can work it. You know, and really sort of think the long game, because there's plenty more opportunities to then get that position back. We saw time and again how cutbacks were happening out the spoon corner, for example, when moves were made there. You can make a cutback through the exit of turn number 1 and 2 there. So it's thinking that longer game, and it's just that experience. I think maybe just a little bit of lack of experience there for Marceno being involved in a championship fight like he is, and it's just ended up costing him a big ton of points.
Yeah, and of course, the next big thing would be Martin van Loozenhoort. There's his spin down in the middle of lap number 2. You see he had to wait there for drivers to go past him. Again, almost ends up causing a second collision, Johnny, as he spun that car around. But van Loozenhoort clearly had a comeback race here today. And that final lap was just phenomenal as he closed in. We knew that pass was going to happen, and he had to go too wide at the 130R to make it work.
Yeah, so had to be brave, and just one of those clumsy spins in the early stages of the race. And we saw that quite often today with a lot of drivers. So maybe at this round anyway, we know track temps are only 24 degrees Celsius and ambient 18 degrees. So, you know, maybe a bit of time to really get some heat into that rubber. And maybe that's why we saw a lot of mistakes in the opening 2 laps of the event, because that's where most of the errors occurred. But nevertheless, anyway, going back to the end of the race, brilliant bravery, good stuff. Yannis was a sitting duck as soon as van Loozenhoort had just a slight bit of toe. And once he got that, as I said, he wasn't creeping in by half a second a lap anymore. It became 7/8 a lap. So that was brilliant stuff from Martin, and hats off to him. 4 seconds from the lead, too, after that spin. Well deserved.
Yeah, we're going to step aside for a few moments, ladies and gentlemen, and get ready for the RaceSpot TV Supercup. We'll be back in 2 moments' time.
Watch Ernie, go, go, go. Car right, car right, car right, car right. Watch him, jam it. Get ready. Dude, more heads up than that. Jeez.
Right on the back wing. Can he make it happen?
Push like hell. We gotta stay in front of these guys.
Both drivers on the push to pass. Contact in the pit lane.
All right, 60. Let that eagle fly. What do I do? What happened? Push here. Push hard. Let's go get this guy. All right, outside. Through behind you. Pedal. Clear outside. Good job. Just spun behind you. I don't know if you got him or not.
He got out of it so hard. Look at these guys are all over the back.
Full throttle.
IndyCar.
In and out lap.
What's next?
Come and get the checkers, big boy. Oh, baby, that was good. He hit me. Inside, inside, outside, inside, outside.
The 2017 Verizon IndyCar Series. See what's next.
Get ready, going green. Green, green, green.
It's time for the Supercup here on RaceSpot TV, a part of RaceSpot RaceDay before the 10th round of the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series. Well, there's about 4 minutes left of practice before we go qualifying, so gives ourselves the opportunity to talk about a couple of things happening in the world of sim racing and, of course, in the world of motorsports as well. Qualifying continually delayed, of course, at Monza. Here's the question for both you guys. A wet Spa race or a wet Monza race? Which is better?
Ooh. I would say Spa, personally.
Okay. Johnny?
I'm going to two-time it and just go with both.
No. You can't
Go out
have
with
that.
both.
Come on. One or the other. Come on, Jonathan. Put the
No, you just
money
don't have
where
to
your
tell
mouth
the
is.
other that you like the other, so you're fine.
Ladies and gentlemen, start the ways of the life of Jonathan Simon. Just don't tell the other one's there.
You're going to get splinters sitting on that fence, I'm going to say.
Oh,
In all the wrong places. Okay, but also, what we were talking about, this is before we came back on air, Paul. Not next year, but 2019, Sebring, they announced yesterday that they're going to have the 12 hours for Sebring, then basically have about an hour changeover, then the WEC is going to have a 12-hour race there. That is genius.
That is just going to be motorsport heaven for so many people right there. I mean, one, the IMSA series is absolutely fantastic, and when they have the 12 hours there, it's just unbelievable. But to then have the World Endurance Championship have that race there as well, that is going to be fantastic. It's what was it, 2012 wasn't it, the last time that the WEC ran at Sebring? So definitely going to be really good to see them guys back there in those cars.
And it'll be their first race of their season, won't it?
Yes, it will. A little bit disappointed actually, I feel, with the schedule getting reduced down in terms of the championship.
Yeah.
There's no Silverstone, which we both went to. We famously filmed a few promos on a carousel at Silverstone. I don't think we're ever going to top that, are we, with our budget of £0?
No, we're not. We're not. Yeah, it's going to be a shame about Silverstone. Of course, Silverstone's in their situation of Formula 1 as well. Running the risk, actually, of pretty much having nothing outside of MotoGP as a top-level series if they're not careful. So that's one to keep an eye out on. But then also, you know, Johnny, we are free. We're not even 3 weeks anymore. This is what's scaring me. We are 2 weeks and a day now from World's Fastest Gamer coming to iRacing.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. So, Yeah, it should be a good one. Not much else to say. I mean, it's been impressive on so it should be even better here.
I think the correct pronunciation is her.
Yeah, that's it. You know how to do it better than me.
Yeah.
By the way, just a quick question before we head into qualifying. Do you have your big Supercup logo this round? Or is that for later on?
I could find it. I don't want to put the wrong image up on the screen. That's the issue. It's not going to be that bad, I promise. No. It's either going to end up with a Sonic logo, which it is, or nope. I can find it, and I will put it up for you in a moment's time.
Yeah, okay.
Let's have a look. We can do this just for you. We'll do it just for you, Johnny.
Look at this, Jonathan. We have devoted the entirety of iRacing.com's YouTube broadcast right now to just you. Because we love you, Jonathan.
Okay, are you ready?
Well, I'm on 45 seconds delay, so I'm going to have to...
No, it's okay. I'm gonna do full bells and whistles here, so just hold on. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the Supercup. There you are. You're going to watch that in 45 seconds delay, Johnny. You're going to love that. But, Paul, in terms of world's fastest gamer, 4 different tracks compared to what's happening in the current series that's going on, GT car, we're going to have the Williams FW30. Which, of course, is the car used... 31.
No, we're going to have the McLaren.
McLaren.
MP430.
Oh, that's the stupidest thing I've ever said. That is the stupidest thing I've ever said.
I think Zach Brown's on the phone right now. Hang on a second, Will.
I resign. It's been a long couple of days for me. We're going to be in the MP4. That's right.
Yeah, MP430, it's going to be a challenge for those drivers. And there's going to be so many drivers who've got so much experience of that car through the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series. So you're going to see a lot of people who are going to go for it who've got a lot of experience. But you're going to have a lot of drivers coming in, possibly that will, not have as much experience in the car, but maybe surprise a few people as well, Will.
And, of course, you've commentated on the Grand Prix Series for the last couple of years as well. And I think the Grand Prix Series is a very good indication that there's a lot of talent still to come up.
Absolutely, there's so many drivers in that Grand Prix series. I actually produce the content, not the commentator. That's Jake's job, and Jake, I'm sure, will be now typing furiously into the chat on YouTube, saying about all different drivers that we've got here in the Grand Prix series who have yet to make that step up, who have got that opportunity. But let's not, forget there's other drivers who maybe haven't been in the World Championship Grand Prix series for a couple of years that will then. Will have sort of dropped out of it, who maybe have that opportunity in the world's fastest gamer.
Well, let's ask him here and now. Let's go. Jake, 3 drivers to watch for who aren't currently in the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series looking to take on McLaren's world's fastest gamer.
Well, that's a very, very difficult one. The first thing you have to say is that there is a rumour going around that Kroenke may not race in the world's fastest gamer. I cannot confirm that, but that's something that is being battered about. But 3 drivers not in the iRacing World Championship, I'd say Jerome Kvakel is easily one that you have to watch out for. Reigning champion, because we all get coughs when we start talking about other things. You also have to talk about the likes those drivers like Ricardo Orozco, who's been just so brilliant over the season from where he was at TNT Racing, now at Positive Sim Racing, proving to everyone that he certainly has the guile and the determination to make it happen. And a driver number 3 that you could maybe say has an outside shot. Maybe you're looking at someone coming out of the box like one of those drivers, say an Arian De Freitas, like say a Michael Partington. I think Evolution Racing Team have a very good chance if they get a good package underneath them.
Can I throw a name in there as well that I think may be a surprise one that people may not think of? Nicholas Rasmussen.
Yes.
He's been impressive. He's been impressive in the Grand Prix series on Sunday afternoons.
Yeah.
Impressively consistent, yes. I will say impressively consistent, but does he have the overall pace to win?
That's one thing, but The other thing is, I mean, I've raced against, and there's a reason why you mentioned them. I was teammates with Quakel for a year, and I've raced against Mike Partington. Those guys have the work ethic to succeed in a job like this. You know, Quakel is every single day and is just out there testing, and he's working with people. He's trying to get better. Partington, I was never teammates with, I did race against from time to time, and he just progressively found his way. You know, he extracted as much potential out of himself, and for those two, I know they've got a lot in them for a competition like this. If they don't get it done this year and they hold the same competition next year, for sure, they're guys to look out for long term.
I will say there's a couple of people who haven't been put on this list. And I would say that someone's been very quiet. You never know if he comes back. That might well be Sebastian Jopol.
Is he old enough to compete? Because you have to be 18, don't you, to compete in this?
I don't know.
Is he?
I don't check the age of drivers, to be honest.
And that also means that Frederick Rasmussen's not available either.
He can't. I know Joshua Rogers we spoke to on the Grand Prix series as well. He said he doesn't think he can compete because of his age. So there's a few talented drivers who, at this point, can't compete in it that could end up, in future years, if they do this again, end up taking part and doing well.
For those of you wondering why there's two drivers that we're not talking about, Graham Carroll and Gregor Hutu basically have already punched their ticket to the final. Carroll, of course, winning the Prix, and also Gregor Hutu, because he's the 5-time iRacing champion in the World Championship Series.
Yeah. There's that too. There's also the fact that Kroenke will be one of those drivers in the future that will get auto tickets just based on his performances you've been seeing in the past 2 seasons. So I'm surprised he didn't get an auto ticket now, because if you look at current form, he is by
the best
far
driver
best
in the MP430.
Yeah, and if another driver comes in and beats him, that's like they should be in the World Championship next year. So let's have a look at that. There was a driver, by the way, Josh Rogers, I thought he was like 30 years old this whole time or something. He's not even 18, is he? Wow.
It's the thing. That's the thing. Yeah, you don't know necessarily the age, the picture behind what's going on. But qualifying is underway for the Super Cup. We haven't really shown you anything yet because there's only 13 drivers so far. They are just now completing their first laps, which we'll put now up for you on your screen. And that means it's time for me to stop talking. Thank you, Jake. Johnny, Paul, over to you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Will. So, yeah, qualifying is going on at the moment. Joni Häkkinen, one of the championship contenders, of course. 3rd place in the championship, 8 points behind Mario Bertolotti, who's in 2nd. David Williams, by the way, leading the championship by that 22 points. It's really a 3-way battle there at the front of your field, Jonathan. There's no Klaus Kivikas here this week, so 4th place is up for grabs there. But Matt McDonald is so many points behind Klaus that basically Klaus can afford to sit this one out. But that 3-way battle, Williams, Bertolotti and Häkkinen, that's going to be the one that we'll look at. And at the moment, Williams and Bertolotti have yet to score a completed lap.
Yeah, in qualifying. Yeah, so let's have a look at who's closer to the finish line. I'd say David Williams now. He's heading towards Spoon. And in the Porsche, this is a racetrack where it becomes more and more challenging the heavier the car you have, the slower the car you have, because you just have to be on it. You can't run wide at many corners and have that extra bit of track width. You're constantly fighting and extracting every tenth that you can. Here's Williams, though, through 130R. This is a challenge in the Porsche. What's he going to do? Full throttle? No, definitely on the brakes. Definitely on the brakes.
And he's ruined his lap there as well. He's gone off track, so that's meaning he's going to have to get a foot down because he's only got 2 minutes 35 remaining in this qualifying session. He's got to set a lap time. Mario Bertolotti, the Casio triangle, launching it over that first curb, heading down towards the timing line now to complete his lap. Where will that put him? A 2 minutes 0.3 puts him 3rd place. Somebody who we haven't mentioned, by the way, who is racing today, Jared Filsell, is back. He's competed in 5 races, won 4 in this series. He is currently on a lap here, and he is pushing it. He's going using every inch of the road as he's heading into Spoon.
Yep, doing Australia proud, Jared Filsell. Now he heads towards The exit a spoon on the throttle, nice and simply. By the way, if Bertolotti can only be 3/10 off Joni Häkkinen's pole time with that mockery of a Casio triangle, I think he'd had a shot at pole there, or provisionally at least. Here's Phil Sell. He's got lots of names to beat at the moment. Häkkinen, Healy, Bertolotti, new driver Ahmed Elbaz. They head towards the Casio triangle now. Phil Sell, he does it a lot better. Mario Bertolotti. Whoa, did you see that? That was incredible.
I think he's had a little bit of a twitchy bum time at that point. 2 minutes, 0.5. That is his qualifying lap time. It puts him 4th. Let's have a look. So many others who have yet to set a qualifying. Scott McIntyre is doing double duty. He is heading into 1:30 right now. You look, and well, Häkkinen, look at that lap time, 1:59.8. He's broken into the 59s there for us today. McIntyre coming in through the Casio triangle. He's going to end his lap. Will he at least get a time on the board? Doing double duty in this series is so tough as well. Jumping from one car and the other, he doesn't set a lap time. So David Williams coming through that chicane now. It's crucial for him to get this time. He's only got his half a minute left in this session, so he's going to get this lap completed. Comes across the line, 2 minutes, 0.8. You feel, Jonathan, that he's just taking it a little bit easy there?
Yeah, it definitely is. Bertolotti improves, though, right behind. So I said Bertolotti had more time to extract, and he does there, but that's qualifying almost over. That's where the track, Paul, it was about 2 years ago today, I think. I don't know the exact date, when iRacing introduced dynamic track. So the track rubbers in towards the end of the session, the more that drivers pound away on the lap times. But you're going to go to the grid now ahead of the race.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's Joni Häkkinen on pole position, the only man to get into the 1:59s. He is ahead of Mario Bertolotti in 2nd place. Michael Healy, good showing from him in 3rd place. Only about 0.05 of a second off of Bertolotti there, so good qualifying time from him. Jared Phil Sell in 4th place. Then on row number 3 it is Ahmed Albez in 5th, with Scott Lanark in 6th. David Williams, he'll be disappointed with that, down in 7th place, with Fabian Jungluth in 8th. Jamie Wilson, another driver doing double duty, is in 9th, with Philippe Rotzel in 10th, and Bruno Fontalab, Scott McIntyre and Daniel Manzano all not scoring a time in qualifying. So we will be heading to the grid, and it's all about that run down into turn 1. We saw how the Formula Renaults did it. They all behaved in the first half of the lap. The second half of the lap was a bit more chaotic and a little bit wild. But we've got 2 drivers here with World Championship licenses, Jonathan.
Yeah.
The pressure is on. We want a good race. We want a good result. 13 cars on the grid. Somebody could get a good result here.
Yeah, it's not going to be as quick as the Formula Renault. It's much heavier cars. I mean, that's Suzuka anyway. Such a narrow racetrack. It'll be like watching a slow death. I mean, if these guys get it right or get it wrong. I tried so hard not to just giggle there, Paul, but I did. We're still waiting for Häkkinen to take the grid. And I think, as I mentioned, there's no changes from our last start at Formula Renault, is there? You still have to watch the braking points. You'll have to make sure you don't collect the drivers in front. 10 seconds to the start until those red lights illuminate. Let's go. Yep.
Drivers then, look into that gantry, look into those lights, the revs rise. Long hold there, but the green light comes on. Away we go. Then it is a good start from Joni Häkkinen at the front, but he's having to cover off Bertolotti into turn number 1. Bertolotti slots in into 2nd place. Phil Sell and Healy going side by side into turn number 1, able to get through there fine. Albaz coming through, almost getting into the side of Healy, able to hold on to that 5th place. Looking down the inside of Healy, actually. They're slowing each other up. There's a little bit of door bang, and Healy goes off in the S's. It's so difficult to return back to the track safely there, but he does that. But he's dropped down to 10th place already here as they're going through them in towards the Dunlop curve. Everybody is still running though. That's the crucial thing here, Jonathan. But Joni Häkkinen already is trying to break away half a second. By the time they reach the Degners, he's out of control almost through Degner 1. Degner 2 though, much more composed.
Yeah, top 2 not composed at all through the Degner curves, but they pick it up on the exit and
Fabian
contact.
Fabian Youngblood has been around at Degner number 2, clipped the curb, and the back end just swung around. And that's the thing with this Porsche. That engine, it's right at the back of the car, and it can act as a pendulum, and around it goes. Look at that, Phil Sell ahead of Bertolotti, and that's what Häkkinen wants. He wants as many points taken away from Bertolotti in this race, and Phil Sell doing a grand job, but it's now 1.6 seconds behind the race leader.
Yep, Phil Sell looks very good. Look at Scott Lanark behind Ahmed Yelbaz. And here he goes now. Albaz going defensive into 130R, goes back onto the racing line. That's smart. He needs to make sure he doesn't lose too much time here. He may run wide. Lanark is just playing with fire right now. He's very, very close. He gets a tap from Williams.
Yeah, Williams, he saw a gap and it closed, and he just had to get out of it. And I think he got a wheel onto the grass, which compromised his braking. But as we go across the line, and it is Joni Häkkinen in the lead by 1.6 seconds over Jared Phil Sell. Bertolotti's in third with Elbaz fourth, Lanark fifth, and you've got this battle here with Lanark and Williams. Williams down in towards turn number 1. He's going to have the inside for turn number 2. Can he hold on to that position, or is Lanark going to keep his 5th place? Going into the S's once again, and Lanark, great driving from him, holds on to that position. And now here comes Fontalba behind Williams, and there's contact behind. Rotzel is round. Oh, he's collected somebody else as well, and it's all going from bad to worse. Healy was involved in that one there.
Yeah, Healy, the same corner 2 laps in a row, he's been involved in a clash. Now on the first lap he was punched out wide by Elbaz, who had a fist out the window and just, well, bumping's racing anyway, you'd say. But that second one, just a little bit different there between himself and the driver of Philip Rotzel. Is Rotzel out of the race as well from that incident?
He's gone but taken a tour. Manzano has had a spin down at the Degners, the second Degner. So again, just clipped the grass that time. It was on the entry to Degner 2. Luckily, nobody collects him. Around he goes and he carries on, but he is down in 12th place. That battle for 4th, 5th, 6th and 7th is going on at the moment, and it's pretty close between them. About 2.5 seconds between Elbaz and Fontalba.
Yeah, so that's a very close battle. Healy only a 10th behind Jamie Wilson here, going into 130R. He thinks better of it. He might have a move into the Casio Triangle. Let's have a look at this. Healy, oh, good defensive there by the Camaro car of Jamie Wilson, who just parked it pretty much at the middle of the racetrack, and he had nowhere to go, Michael Healy.
Certainly did, and yeah, as you say, great defensive driving from Wilson. But Healy, we've seen he's got the pace here. He had a good qualifying display to put him up there, and well, he's certainly trying. Not going to go past for the time being. That battle for 6th place now. David Williams come under intense pressure from Bruno Fontalba. I don't think we've seen him in this championship before, and he's given a good showing so far, pushing the championship leader.
Yep, definitely is. Good job by Bruno, who is from France and heads away here through Dunlop Curve. Still just traveling behind David Williams. When you're behind a championship contender like that, the best thing to do is just not to make contact, but you want to impress everybody else, so you might slot it up the inside. And most of the time it's the championship challenger that is actually more nervous than the new driver coming into the series.
Yeah, but he's got so much to lose, hasn't he? That's the thing. And when it's somebody who you've not really raced before, you don't know what the characteristics are like, whether they're aggressive, whether they will give you space. You know, this is the thing, and when you're that championship leader, you're that little bit more cautious. You'll give that little bit more room, maybe half a car's width more room than he would say against Joni Häkkinen.
Yeah, it definitely is. So that's the one aspect to look at. I'm quite disappointed actually by Jared Phil Sell. I thought he'd be a lot closer to Joni Häkkinen in front, but he's actually falling into the clutches of Bertolotti, our other championship contender. Here they go through the Casio Triangle. 24 minutes remaining, so a lot more time compared to our Formula Renault race earlier on. But Phil Sell who almost sends that car upside down at the exit of the Casio Triangle, is under attack here from Bertolotti. Healy also alongside Wilson behind.
Well, this is it. Phil Sell was almost, he was 7/10 of a second slower than your race leader on that last lap, heading towards turn number 1 once again. It's interesting to see the different lines there. Bertolotti takes a little bit of a tighter line, whereas Phil Sell lets the car run right out to the curbs on the exit of 1 for the wider entry into turn number 2.
Yeah, he does. So that's an interesting point you bring up. Different lines through that first couple of corners. And there's no right or wrong. It's just what works in terms of your driving style, whether you like to throw it in deep into the corner or even your car setup too. You know, if you have a good run out of corners and you've got a nice planted rear end, you want to throw the car into the corner, apply the throttle on the exit, and you can trust that the car is going to stay planted to the racetrack, if that makes any sense. Here they go through Degner 2. Bertolotti a bit too far behind to have a look here into the hairpin. We haven't seen many looks into the hairpin, and this was where on lap 1 of the event, Paul, we saw Bertolotti be passed by Jared Filsell. He thought Jared was going to have a look up the inside, went defensive for no reason, and he ended up losing the position. So the hairpin, with these heavier cars and longer braking distances, it's definitely much more of a possibility than it would be in an open wheeler.
Well, this is it. I mean, with the trouble with that. Oh, that's our race leader, Joni Heikkinen. Joni Heikkinen almost getting into the side of Elbaz, and that's going to drop him down to 6th, possibly 7th place here. We're going to get a replay on screen here, and that's coming through Spoon Curve. He clipped the curb on the entry to it and ran it out wide onto the AstroTurf, and it's the bump at the end of the curb that has just unsettled the car, and he's gone off. Big drama for one of the championship contenders and race leader at the time, down to 7th place now.
Yeah, that's a clumsy mistake. That's more driver error than the car just, stepping out on him for no reason. So Heikkinen, not only is that a loss of the lead, he's all the way down in P7, and he's 5.6 seconds away from Phil Sell, who claims the lead and leads that lap last time around. So Heikkinen has work to do, and this is much like Martin van Loosnord, remember last race in the Formula Renaults.
And well, also think about it this way as well. Bertolotti is in 2nd place, David Williams is in 5th. They're both ahead of him now. He was in the clear, out front by 2.5 seconds. Now he's got all the work to do, and he's got to get past not only a very committed Bruno Font. Oh, what a move into the entry of Dunlop. Do you know what? I can count on one hand how many times I've seen moves like that done into Dunlop. That is a rare move, and wow, he's fired up. I think he's frustrated with himself, but now championship leader directly ahead. He's got to get past David Williams here to make any chance of going for a few places further up for Bertolotti.
Yep, inexperienced by the new kid on the block, Bruno Fontalba, and he's sort of learnt a lesson there. He's just casually tried to stroll into the Dunlop curve, and he's lost that position. So Heikkinen is definitely on a charge, and he's definitely not lost any motivation after that spin. Here's the scene of the accident. There's his tombstone to the left-hand side of the racetrack. Doesn't look at that anymore. He's going to be focusing on David Williams in front.
Meanwhile, Jared Filsell, now your race leader, ahead of Mario Bertolotti by 0.4 of a second. So those two haven't given up that fight just yet. We'll focus on this battle here between championship contenders. And, well, Heikkinen, Williams into the Casio Triangle. Heikkinen 0.2 of a second behind, so he's really on the tail of Williams. Didn't get the best exit. I'll tell you who didn't get the best exit. It was Fontalba. He's around. He's going to come back on. He's going to lose just 1 place to Michael Healy, but he lost that coming out the Casio Triangle.
No, unfortunate. And, yep, he has lost a spot to Michael Healy, so he did impress, though, in those early laps, so the potential's there for Bruno Fontalba. He just needs to continue and hope that he doesn't make any more mistakes come the end of this event. Heikkinen, though, very close to David Williams, bouncing over the curves. He's really pushing it here. There's still 19 minutes left, Yoni, so don't push it too far. Here's the scene of his brilliant pass on Bruno Fontalba. He might go for it again, and he's run completely deep. I think he looks a bit feisty here, Paul. I think he needs to calm himself down.
I'm sure I've said it in previous broadcasts. It might have been on one of the Blancpain broadcasts. You've got to take the emotion out of racing. It's what Jackie Stewart used to always say. Take the emotion out of it. Don't let yourself get wound up, because if you start doing things on emotion, get yourself upset, you get tense, you get tight, and you do things that the car doesn't want you to do. And, well, we're seeing that right there, that he's making mistakes because he's fired up here. And the more mistakes he makes, the more likely he's going to make more, Jonathan.
Yeah, the first names that come to mind when you say that are Fernando Alonso and Sebastian Vettel, especially Alonso's Renault days. He was so angry in those days. He won 2 world championships, though, out of it, so I don't blame him. But here they go through Spoon. Häkkinen taking much tighter lines through both apexes, and it seems to have worked out for him. So different car setups, different driving styles. We know David Williams will always work with Virtual Racing School as a driver coach there, and well, you can see his driving style there if you want to learn from him. Here they go through 130R again. Häkkinen, tight line, really using up all the rubber, almost loses it on the exit as he beaches himself on the curb.
We've lost Daniel Manzano. He lost it at the hairpin. Once again, self-spin, and he's decided to park it. He is out of this race. So we've just got 11 cars running at the moment, but it's this battle for... Oh, we've Fontalba. Oh, he's made another mistake. And that's at the Casio Triangle once again. 2 laps in a row. He's spun it round, and he's decided to park it as well.
Yeah, and I hope we get a replay of it, but Scott McIntyre that lap with Fabian Youngblood alongside each other into 130R. They both ran it deep, and I was looking at that in one of the cameras we've got here, and it's just... I don't understand how they both made it through. So lots of fighting going on. Quality is racing. Here's Häkkinen up the inside of Williams. Whoa, that was close.
Yeah, it certainly was, but the thing is, Williams is a bit of a different contender compared to Fontalba. He's very experienced in this car. He's very experienced in this series. Both drivers going for that title, as we say. But Williams, as you said earlier, and you made that very good point, he's going to be a little bit more cautious because he's the one leading the championship into the hairpin. He was a little bit squirrely under braking, was Williams, and Häkkinen had to go the wide, gets on the grass on the exit there, but is able to carry it on. These two are actually, I feel, are just slightly gaining on Lanac and Elbaz in front, and Häkkinen running wide onto the grass once again.
Yeah, I think he's too pumped up for this right now. I think he just needs to somehow... I don't know whether he's got some particular breathing techniques or whatever methods he has, but he needs to just calm himself down a little bit, because I think he's trying way too hard and he's losing more than he's gaining. And that's when you know that you're trying too hard right now. He just needs to take these cars and pin them down lap after lap. You never know, you could still win this race if things go your way. And he's only 4.9 seconds off the lead, by the way, Paul. Remember before when he spun, he was 5.5 seconds away.
It was 2.5 seconds away. Was Häkkinen? You're probably thinking of Van Loosenhoff, but anyway.
So when he spun, I'm saying as soon as he rejoined,
right,
he was about 5.6 seconds back. And now with all these drivers, they're actually quicker than Jared Filsell.
Oh, we've got a flash of the lights from Lanac. That's it. Ahmed, I'm sorry, you'll have to just pull over. The lights have been flashed. That means get out of the way. You've got to give that position over to me now. And he doesn't seem to be understanding that that's the protocol in this series. Scott McIntyre's had a bit of a spin, by the way, at the exit of the Casio Triangle. He's not having the best of times here today in this Porsche. But this battle, look at it now. It's all concertinaed up here. Ahmed Albaz, Scott Lanac, David Williams and Joni Häkkinen all within 2 seconds of each other. And go on, Jonathan.
No, I was going to say Elbaz made a mistake there on the exit, almost lost the car, and look at the train that's coming up right now. Where's Jarno Trulli when you need him? Because look at this train that's forming up. Who's going to have a go into the hairpin? Williams goes defensive. They all go defensive except for Joni Häkkinen, who definitely looks the feistiest of the bunch, but Scott Lanac is getting impatient too.
Well, round 200 out once again. And heading in towards Spoon Curve. These guys just absolutely on the limit each and every lap here. And Scott Lanac is putting Ahmed Albaz under intense pressure here. Your lead battle, by the way, it's down to 0.7 of a second, so Phil Sell has not had the best of laps this lap. But look at this now, going defensive, trying to break the draft, do anything he can to get clear of Lanark. McIntyre's around again, by the way. Looking at my timing screen, I think he's going to park that one. And heading into the Casio Triangle, Häkkinen down the inside of championship leader David Williams. They're going to be side by side on the exit. A little bit of leaning, a little bit of door banging. There's a little bit of fender damage on Häkkinen's car now. That's going to affect the top speed. But, well, down in towards turn 1, David Williams holds on to that position. That was very aggressive there.
Yep, and Häkkinen on the radio questioning Williams, pushing him off the racetrack there. But I think Williams initially gave space, though. Good spatial awareness to not just turn in on Häkkinen. But I think on the exit, Joni felt like he could have given more room. But that's racing. David Williams had the racing line, so... let's keep going, boys. You're not going to get a penalty for that, neither of you. So good scrap there, but look at what they've done to themselves right now. Häkkinen, with that attempt to get past, they've actually broken off the train, so they have to hope that Albaz is much slower now than he was earlier.
Through the Degners they go, and that's just allowed Lanark and Albaz to pull away slightly here from these two battling away. So that's crucial for them. That takes the pressure off Lanark. He can focus solely on that car in front, and that's what he's doing here. But Williams, Williams a little bit deep into the hairpin. That's opened the door for Häkkinen. He's going to have the outside line all the way around this right-hander. Williams should just be able to keep in front for the time being. Häkkinen, though, fired up as he is, trying to get the run at that corner into Spoon once again. And Häkkinen just having to back out of that a little bit. Williams running wide through the first part. Spoon! Häkkinen showing him down the inside. Getting a bit of a slide on the exit there, and that's going to compromise him down the straight, but he's got the slipstream here. Williams going defensive. He knows that he's got to try and keep Häkkinen behind him, but at what cost? You know, you think of your championship here. Round 130R once again in towards the chicane. And well, able to hold on to position is Williams, but Häkkinen looking to get the better run out of the Casio Triangle. Once again, we have got 11.5 minutes remaining in this one. Lanark is all over Albaz, but look at this battle, this championship battle here that's going on. Häkkinen looking to the outside of turn number 1. Oh, thinking about it. He's keeping it out there, trying to get the cutback possibly here, Jonathan, but he's not going to be able to do it because it gives him the outside line for the next corner.
And look ahead, Albaz and Lanark. Lanark goes through too. So Albaz drops behind to 4th, and that releases Scott Lanark on a pursuit towards the top 2.
And look at how close the lead battle is as well, just 0.3 of a second between them. So we've got 3 battles on the go here. Fantastic racing from your RaceSpot Supercup. I hope you're enjoying this race, because I certainly am. We've got 11 minutes left in this one, and we've got 3 battle groups of 2 cars in each one. It's your race leader, Jared Filsell, ahead of Mario Bertolotti in 2nd place. It's Scott Lanark in 3rd with Ahmed Albaz in 4th. And then it's David Williams and Joni Häkkinen 5th and 6th. What racing we have here. And the thing is, I do feel that the Williams and Häkkinen are closing back up once again to the back of Albaz and Lanark.
Yeah, what a cracking race we have. Noah's Ark battle, 2x2x2, and all the way down to 6th place. So Häkkinen and Williams last time out at Spoon, some of the best racing I've ever seen in the Porsches. Here they come now through the exit. These two have actually, by not fighting for the past lap, they've actually caught the top 2 now, because now Lanark and Albaz, is Lanark going defensive. Albaz trying to reclaim that final podium position. Been impressive, hasn't he, in his first outing in the Porsche, Paul Ahmed? And I think now...
Häkkinen ran wide. And, well, here goes Ahmed once again, looking through the Casio Triangle. Not going to do it this time, trying to get the run out of the corner. I don't think he's got the best run out there, having to use the slipstream, and here comes David Williams now. Williams, I think, is going to have a little bit more urgency here, want to get the moves done now, and try and just get cars between him and Joni Häkkinen, because Häkkinen has been hounding him these last couple of laps here, Jonathan.
Yeah, exactly. So let's see how this progresses. because Phil Sells made no progress on Bertolotti. So once these guys sort themselves out, and once they know who's going to lead this train towards the top two, they'll actually have a chance at winning this race. But right now, with all the battling and fighting away, they just don't have the pace to catch up to the top two, who are lapping much quicker at the moment. And I think their chances are slimming down as the race also slims down to 0.
Yeah, absolutely. Under 9 minutes remaining in this one. And Ahmed runs wide through the first Degner. That's a mistake. He's able to hold on to it though. That's okay. He's kept his cool. Lead battle. Bertolotti is right up there with Phil Sells. He was within a tenth of a second for a split moment there. So this battling going on for third place is going on, and the battle for the lead is still going on as well. Absolutely fantastic racing. Don't know where to look, but I'll tell you what, at the moment I'm looking at this battle for third, fourth, fifth and sixth. Ahmed almost losing control there, heading into Spoon. Jonathan, he's just getting a little bit flustered, you feel, and just getting a little bit happy with the throttle.
Yeah, and this is so difficult to get the rhythm back up after this, because unless you're extremely confident in your ability, which I'm sure he is, you have to defend and fight while also trying to maintain confidence in the car. And he turned in a bit too early there, wasn't thinking. And that's the difference in these cars right now. You can see they can attack the curbs a lot more. And it's a lot different to the Formula Renault. They attacked that first Degner a lot more aggressively than you would in the Formula Renault. Does Albaz have technical difficulties?
Oh, please don't say that's the case. He's been impressive here. But Williams and Häkkinen, they're not giving this one up yet. And, well, Albaz is there, but he's returned, thankfully. He's sorted out his technical problems there. Down to 6th place, though. So Williams and Häkkinen up to 4th and 5th now. And these two, they're not giving up on this one yet. Häkkinen is giving it absolutely everything. He's just trying everything he can to get past Williams, and Williams, experience said, he knows where to place his car, and he's doing a good job of it. And Lanark is now pulling away 0.8 of a second ahead of these two.
Yeah, I'm sure Joni Häkkinen would probably be visiting the Coanda website after this race, because that's all he's been looking at for the past 5 to 10 laps, at the back of David Williams' Porsche. Here they go now to the hairpin. Look at Williams, who will probably go defensive here. Here we go. There we go. Williams takes the inside line. Häkkinen goes for the outside. That's been the common occurrence just because of the longer braking distances you have in the Porsche.
And the thing is, Williams, with him taking that defensive line, he can park it on the apex there, control the speed that Häkkinen has then got on the middle of that apex. So it's really frustrating for Häkkinen. Williams, though, going into Spoon, he's got Häkkinen all over the back, and just look at how close Häkkinen is getting there. He's almost pushing him through Spoon curve along the back straight, and Häkkinen is as close as he's been all race to Williams at this point, heading towards 130R. Will he have a look here, or will he just sit behind? At the moment, he just sits behind. Through 130R they go once again, heading towards the Casio Triangle. Time is running out. 6 minutes remaining in this one. Häkkinen is determined to try and make that move. Can't get it done though. And well, Williams, a masterful display of defensive driving here so far, Jonathan.
Yeah, he is. I always think, is he being over defensive? But it's paying off for him. He's doing a good job maintaining the position ahead of Joni Häkkinen. Here they go through turn 1. Häkkinen is much quicker, we know, but he just can't get a nose in front there, and he's definitely getting impatient. He's a lot more calm than he was after his crash, but I think now he's getting definitely impatient on David Williams, and David Williams also making a few mistakes, Paul. Now, the best thing about the Porsche is that because you're not maintaining as much momentum through each of these S's in an open wheeler, you can actually make up for a mistake earlier on. So earlier on in the S section. So that's what Williams has done there. Mistake earlier on, picks it up through the Degner curbs, he's still in front.
Yeah, well, I mean, the thing is, he could have sent a postcard to the apex of that first part of the S as he was that far away from it. He got wheels onto the grass, which compromised his turn-in, and I thought that would have given Häkkinen the opportunity, because if you make a mistake into that first part of the S's there, that's just going to transfer all the way through, and it's just going to get worse and worse. But David just realised that, didn't carry quite as much speed as he normally would, and gathered it back there, and that's good driving from David as we're headed in towards the final 4 minutes of this race. By the way, George Filsell still in the lead of this one, 0.6 of a second. There's been no battling going on between him and Bertolotti. Lanac almost 4 seconds behind Bertolotti now, and it's this battle. Williams and Häkkinen, they're on the back of Lanac here as well, so Lanac isn't getting away from this one. In fact, Williams is gaining on Lanac.
Yep, so Williams has a shot here at a podium. He's kept it cleaner. Cleaner than all the other drivers in this scrap anyway. And actually, I have to give that award to Scott Lanac, I think, just because of Williams' contact with Häkkinen. Don't forget, the exit of the Casio Triangle is Lanac going defensive on the main straight. But with 3.5 minutes remaining, it looks like time is really not on his side right now to make his way to P3.
And, well, through turns 1 and 2, heading towards the S's once again. And, well, clipping those curbs, making sure you carry the speed through the apex. And that's the thing with the difference with this Porsche that we say every time compared to the Formula Renault that we see in the race before this. They're able to ride those curbs a little bit more. They can be more aggressive with the curbs. That Formula Renault, it's a lot lower to the ground. It's got stiffer suspension. These cars, they've got that more play in the suspension, so they can use those curbs, as demonstrated by Scott Lanac there through Degner number 1. And Williams just carrying a little bit too much speed into Degner 2. Gets a little bit sideways on the exit there. That's a little mistake, and that's cost him a little bit of time there, Jonathan.
Yep, it has. So, you know, it's not really any tyre issues at the moment. 24-degree track temp out there. Clear skies, similar to the Formula Renault race, of course. So it's all about the driver, really, at this stage of the race. And with 2 minutes remaining, 2.5 minutes remaining. So next lap will be the final lap around. I can't confirm, Paul. And that will mean that everybody's going to have to get a move on here. Albaz is really out of the battle. It's really a two-way fight for the lead. And it's also a three-way fight for the final podium position.
Yeah, this is it. The elbows have got to come out. This is where people really need to make the move. They've got to make it count. Every second counts, as Paul Daniels used to say. Bertolotti, though, he is battling away. He's going through the Casio Triangle now. They're going to start that final lap of the race. Filsell in the lead of this one by 0.6 of a second ahead of Bertolotti. Then the next group to come across the line, Lanac, Williams, and Häkkinen. And Lanac's having to try and break the draft, but your lead battle going into turn number 1, that's going to stay stagnant. And Elbaz is into the pits, so he's having to take a pit stop on the start of the final lap.
Wow, is that for a penalty? Is that for fuel? He sounds like he's run out of fuel in the pit lane. Wow. So Elbaz there, that car's into neutral, and there is no fuel left. Lucky it's a downhill pit lane here at Suzuka. Otherwise, he'd be out of the race, but there he is. And that car's going to fire up, and there we go. And that's the worst feeling you can hear if you're a race car driver.
Absolutely. Through the Dunlop curve in towards the Degners. That lead battle still 3-4 tenths between them. That battle for the final spot on the podium, though, you've got about half a second covering 3 cars here. And it's a great display from Lanac to hold on to that third place for the time being. But Williams and Häkkinen's getting closer. Not going to make that move just at this moment in time. Williams trying to get the better run out of the hairpin, and well, he's really putting the pressure on Lanac now as Williams. He can sense a podium finish here. Championship contender Mario Bertolotti is in second place. He wants to limit the amount of points that Bertolotti gets here as they go through Spoon Curve. Bertolotti, by the way, still in the draft of Filsell, and in fact he's quite close here, 2 tenths behind. This is it, going in towards 130R. He's got to make a move sooner rather than later. He's showing his nose here, but he's not going to do, and a little bit of contact between the leaders. Bertolotti drops back. The next group of cars, will they catch up to him? No, they won't. Into the Casio Triangle. Häkkinen making the move on the final corner of the final lap. Side by side with Williams, but it's going to be Phil Sell who takes the win here across the line in round 10 of this championship. And look at that, the final chicane, and it's Häkkinen who takes 4th place. Lenark ends up on the podium. Great result for him, but Häkkinen, last lap move into the chicane, and he made it work. He got a bit aggressive there. They went side by side, and well, he managed to make that one work there, Jonathan.
I love that from Häkkinen, giving Williams a taste of his own medicine. That's what happened earlier on in the event, remember, when Williams forced Häkkinen wide, Häkkinen on the radio questioning it, and he did the exact same thing. I would have expected it if I was David Williams. I think he knew he was going to be run wide, which is why he gave him that extra bit of space in the exit. There's Albaz crossing the line, and that is a disappointing 8th position for him after making that late pit stop. He really should have been there for the podium. But that Bertolotti incident, wow. I mean, the funny thing is, Paul, if we had incident limits, could you imagine if Phil Sell got disqualified after that?
Oh, I'll tell you what, the team radio would have been absolutely on fire if that would have happened. But yeah, I know from having an Aussie teammate how passionate you are about your racing, that is for sure. But well, as Scott McIntyre makes it across the line, we will be able to go through your final results here then. And it is George Phil Sell who wins this one. 1.5 seconds ahead. That doesn't show how close it was throughout the race for him and Mario Bertolotti, who finished in 2nd place. Scott Lenark then rounds out your podium in 3rd place with Joni Häkkinen, very, very aggressive into the Casio Triangle on that final lap, getting his way ahead of David Williams in 5th place. So Michael Healy, disappointing start to the race for him. He ends up down in 6th place. Jamie Wilson in 7th. Ahmed Albaz, so heartbreaking for him to have those technical problems and then have to run out of fuel at the start of that last lap. Fabian Youngblood then in 9th, who had a couple of spins. Scott McIntyre, who had more than a couple of spins on one lap, he ends up in 10th place. He's the last of the finishers. And then the non-finishers there, Bruno Fontalba, impressive debut from him, getting stuck in there. Just unfortunate to see him make a couple of mistakes at the Casio Triangle. Daniel Manzano and Philip Rotzel round out your top 13, and Will, I'll tell you what, there's a tough act to follow there for the World Championship Grand Prix Series.
We've had 2 fantastic races, both in the Formula Renault SimCup and the RaceSpot TV Supercup, and you know what, actually? Both those races at about the same time remaining in the event, Johnny, your leader binned it.
Yeah, wow. So I mean, that was the story of that event, really, because Häkkinen was then stuck behind Williams for most of that event until the final lap. More final lap battling, and Häkkinen, after the race, had a lot to say to David Williams about that. He's actually quite mad about that. So I would have thought he'd got over it now. He's got the position back. But anyway, that's just racing car drivers for you. And good event, though. Looking forward to the World Championship, Will. I mean, with only a 13-car grid out there, more quality racing from the Porsches.
Yeah, indeed. So we're having a look then at replays. We're going to ride a replay for the next couple of moments on board with Joni Häkkinen. We're not going to see the exact incident on time before we have to go off there, unfortunately. But, I mean, Paul, 2 great races, of course. The World Championship Series is going to be the next event up. Unless there's a miracle, Kroenke won't win the championship here today. And actually, the stars align for him perfectly. He can win the championship in his home event at the Nürburgring if he does a good result here today. But of course, we're wondering, will Kroenke go for 10 for 10 and at that point be, going against the Hutu record from 2010?
Yeah, I think, was it Michael Schumacher that said that records are there to be broken? And, I think Martini really needs to push it and really go for that record. I love seeing records being broken. I said that on the last time we did the RaceSpot RaceDay, and I called him saying that he's going to have a perfect season. And, we could very well see that, but it's a tough track. We've seen how races around here are a race of attrition. You never know, anything could happen.
Johnny, final thoughts then from RaceSpot Race Day. Go.
Loved it. Brilliant event as usual. Love this sport series, and we're 100% going to be running this in 2018 with 5 series, I assume.
Paul, what about you?
Do you know what? They say that, you know, okay, that Porsche race didn't have the numbers, but it had the quality there, and that's what we wanted, the quality of racing, and it was absolutely fantastic to watch. Great to call that one, and I'll look forward to the next round.
The iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series coverage kicks off in about 6 minutes' time here on RaceSpot TV and on iRacing Live. Thank you so much to everyone who's been a part of round number 10 of RaceSpot TV and their race day. From the Formula Renault SimCup over to the Porsche Supercup, that has been Jonathan Simone, Paul Smith, Jake Sperry on special comments. I am Will Vincent, and we'll talk to you all in just a few minutes' time. See you in a bit. Bye-bye.